Hey, VB family, it's Chris from All Volleyball, and we are where the game begins. I'm here today with pro volleyball player and Olympian TJ DeFalco and the winner of our AMA contest, Owen Carr. First off, thank you both for taking the time to, speak with us and agreeing to do this. Owen, why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself and, why you're so excited to win the contest?
I'm from St. Louis. I play for HP High Performance. I've been watching TJ since the VNL in like 2021, 2022, and I've learned a lot from watching him and just been a fan ever since.
Well, I know you've got a couple of questions that you prepped, so if you want to take it away, I'll let you guys chat.
The first question I had was, so how is the transition from like club volleyball and high school volleyball to college and like the pro level for you?
It's a great question. I would say the biggest transition going from like the youth level is going to all the tournaments and playing playing from 4, 5, 6 matches a day was the fact that we would only go in and play once a day. Sometimes in college it was a once a week kind of thing. So we had to put in countless hours of training and preparation and listing and also all the classroom or duties that we had. So that was definitely the biggest transition for me is I didn't get to go and play volleyball all day. It was a 3-hour timeline of when I got to dedicate all of my energies and everything about volleyball to volleyball for our match. And then it went to pro, and it was my first pro season was we would do almost every 10 days we play a game. But so then that made the season months long. So it's just a little bit different of timeline and all of the demands of volleyball on the body and the mind and all that stuff. But then you get to really dive into training and all of the other pieces around the mentality of playing volleyball than just physically diving in.
What is it like been playing with all of these like super great players? Like I know you played with NSYNC in college and like all the good players you played with overseas and in the pro league.
Yeah, it's something pretty special because when you're in college, everybody's right around the same age as you. So I was very lucky and blessed to be able to play with players like Josh Sweeney and Kyle Insing, coming up through youth and through college and doing the youth national teams and all that kind of stuff with them. But then you get to the professional side of things and you got guys that are 32, 34, 35 with a wife and a couple kids. And then you got guys that are around my same age that don't have any responsibilities and they're just like kind of trying to figure out life as it goes anyway. But the first thing that I really realized when I played some really high name players was the kind of like a little bit, I imagine what you're feeling, a little bit of like a little bit starstruck. Like I was starstruck when I went into the first match and I played Leon because I'd watched him for years and years and years, growing up trying to perfect my own game and put things into my repertoire as how I want to be as a volleyball player. And then all of a sudden I find myself on the other side of the court as him, and I'm just like, holy cow, this is crazy, So it was a big shock for sure. And now with that, I mean, that's there's still a little bit of that. Playing with players like Matt Anderson and Mike Christensen who have been around the block for 10 plus years. It's something really special.
Whenever you're in a game, do you like for the play, do you ever like think about what you're going to do before it even starts? Or are you more of like a quick decisions as it happens, like go with the flow for the player?
Yeah. I would say definitely volleyball's too fast to be able to plan ahead. Okay, he's going to serve me here. I'm going to pass this there. They're going to set this. We're going to set that. And we're going to get the point. It's way too fast of a sport to develop that slowly. And so one of the things you have to learn on top of the volleyball skill is the mentality of we have no idea what's going to happen. We have to play and adjust as it's going on. And the speed at which you do that wins or loses you the game.
Like leading off of that, like I've seen you in games do a lot of like random stuff that I've never seen other people do, like hitting it with the back of your palm. Like I thought that was like, I saw you do that out of the back row in one game and I was like, ow, like why did you start doing that kind of stuff? And when did you learn that you have to like adapt and maybe do some out of the box?
Yeah. I think it happened. I don't remember the first time it happened, but I'm pretty sure it was in a practice when the tensions aren't so high. It's not a game-like scenario where you're playing for positioning in the league or you're playing for playoffs or anything like that. It happened in a practice and the set wasn't where I thought where it should have been or whatever, or where I was planning for it to be. And so then I had to go, I was already in the air and I can't change my body's position. So I had to alter and figure something else out. And I did it and it worked once. And then I did it again and it works. And there's not always 100% success rate, obviously, but it worked more often than it helped me create a solution for a scenario that I shouldn't have one in. And I don't want to just tip it and just give them a free ball. And so I figured that I'd try something new and out of the box.
So I'm from St. Louis, and we play all the California teams, and we're always kind of considered like the underdog, and like nobody ever thinks they're going to beat everybody. And so you being from California, what was your like perspective going into playing teams from like the Midwest and the area where I'm around?
Yeah. I started playing volleyball in California, and that was where I kind of was born into the sport. But I'm actually from Missouri. I was born in Missouri, over in that area, and I understand what it's the societal norm of men's volleyball in that part of the country. And it's something very special for me, because I would come into California and sure we were like the best team or the whatever in California, and the best team in the country was best teams are in California per se. And going back and playing, I remember playing all the high performance teams in the St. Louis and the Chicago teams and all this, and it's like, these guys are incredible. They just don't have the same volleyball exposure that people do in California. That's where we got really lucky with the state of California, is that there's volleyball everywhere.
Yeah.
And so for my thing going back into it is you can't underestimate a team that is always the underdog, because that's when you have the most, you have the least pressure, because you don't have any pressure put on your back saying, well, we got to win, I'm doing this kind of stuff. But then it allows you to play completely free at all times, and that's what makes you guys most dangerous.
Yeah,
is from what I remember from those youth days.
So, was there ever like a specific moment that you realized that like you were gonna want to play volleyball forever, and that you wanted to be like at such a high level, like where you are now?
Yeah. One exactly specific moment that I remember in my mind that was like, oh wow, this is actually a career option. And that was in high school. I did not attend my freshman year, but I did attend my sophomore year, my first year of high school, playing with the team, and we were going through the season. And of course, I was also on the club team and the youth and all that kind of stuff. And then I got a call from John Sprock, my sophomore year of high school. And he was like, I see your talent and all this kind of stuff. And of course, the another thing I wanted to add about California is the exposure. Exposure is next level. And it was pretty cool, because he invited me to come into the gym and train with the senior team, or train with all those guys. There's, 30, 40 guys in the gym. But he invited me to come train. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I can maybe start thinking of this as a career option.
I kind of had a thing where like I wasn't really sure if I was going to play for always. And then like we won nationals when I was 12, and I was thinking about playing basketball because I wasn't sure. And then we, as 13's year kind of progressed, because I decided to still play, I started like the one kid on my team was kind of considered like arguably the best player age at the time. And I felt like I was starting to get closer and closer to where he was at. And that's when I realized, it's like, oh, this is what I want to do for sure, guaranteed. And then I kept working and still love it.
We got you over basketball. That's good.
Yeah. They have enough. They don't need more. Knowing that the Olympics, like a lot of this Olympics is a lot of the last guys that are on the national team right now, like it's their last Olympics, like Matt Anderson. Like, is there a big expectation for you guys going into it to maybe like be the last like hurrah for those guys?
That's always dangerous water to get into, because we could easily say that we had big expectations last Olympics and we came in and didn't perform very well. Coming off of their bronze medal in 2016, with a lot of those guys, they all came back and they're like, all right, we're going to give, like what you said, like almost, it was like, we're going to give it one last big hoorah, and we're going to do this the right way. Some unfinished business that they didn't have in 2016. And it gets very choppy to, superstitious and all that kind of stuff to say I think it's best for us to just come in and say, we're going to go and try to play our best volleyball.
Yeah.
And then see where that takes us, as opposed to, it's instead of putting more pressure on our own shoulders of it's our last big row, we got to do it, the right way. That just creates a lot of external pressure that we don't want.
Who did you like look up to whenever you were like coming up and like starting to have a lot of success? Like, was there a big player that you learned a lot from or watched, or like maybe thought you were similar to?
Yeah. One of the things that I did very early on in my career, which I'm sure you're in the same position of doing as well, is I watched all of the volleyball that I was able to, all of the players, and seeing what is out there, what the different skill sets people had, the height, maybe they're tall, maybe they're short, maybe they're hit way harder than other people, maybe they don't have a great arm, so they have to use it and tip and recycle and do all these different things to be able to be on the highest level. So I watched all of the players. And I'm going to say some names you maybe even you don't even know, but I watched Jiba. He played on Brazil. Dante, he played on Brazil. I watched some Sergio. He's the legendary libero that played for Brazil. I watched Reed Pretty. Reed Pretty is one of the best, has always been one of the best passers in the world. And I actually got a chance to train with him in high school. And then I watched Lionel Marshall, he's a much older player, but he was crazy. He had a 60-inch vertical, and he was like 6'9". So he's one of those fun players to watch that just did the most absurd things on the volleyball court.
Yeah.
And I just watched everybody because I mostly am I'm a shorter volleyball player, so I would more relate to a Jiba, who was great at passing, great at defense, and was a short, kind of try to figure it out as we go kind of player. But then Dante was a much taller, much more physical player. I didn't really have all their skill sets, but I wanted to see what they were kind of bringing to the court.
Yeah.
And then I could go on for a long time naming all the players that I watched, but my biggest thing was just soaking all of the information and just see what I could add to my game.
Yeah. I've learned a lot from like Ethan Champlin. Like that's one of my people that I watch a lot because I know like right now I'm pretty tall for an outside at my age, but I know I probably won't be once I get to like college level. And I know he's not a huge guy, but he's always just been like really smart, good at defense. And that's kind of who I look up to the most.
Yeah. He's a great player to watch because he's like exactly what you said. He's very crafty, but he's also got a great arm. So yeah, he's probably a very good option for you to watch.
TJ, really appreciate the time. I know it's late there, so I don't want to keep you guys much longer, but really glad that we could get you guys together. And on being a huge DeFalco fan, like I really hope like this major week, major months, major year.
Big thanks back to you guys, and thank you all for reaching out and doing that contest and winning it. And it was great to talk to you and learn more about you and have you answer some questions. That was awesome.
Yeah, you too.